so many people out on Sunday afternoon. My name is Vernon Bracy. I'm the president of the board of directors for Crispus Attucks. And I want to extend a thanks to every one of you in attendance, as well as those who are joining us by way of Zoom. We're here today to celebrate the tremendous impact Crispus Attucks has had in this community over the past 93 years. And we're very thankful to a remarkable group of staff, business partners, and volunteers. Thank you for empowering those in our community to learn, work, and thrive. I'd also thank the Crispus Attucks Board of Directors and board members, if you could stand. Also the Crispus Attucks Charter School Board. If any members are in attendance, please stand. And I also want to recognize three, and I hope I didn't miss it, three dignitaries in attendance. President Commissioner Julie Wheeler is in attendance. County Commissioner Doug Hope. And State Representative Carol Hill Evans. Our theme for this year's event is building unity, building community, which truly reflects the mission of our organization, and it also embodies the purpose of our new History and Culture Center. The History and Culture Center is intended to be a living history and culture center rather than a static museum. Our mission is to tell stark and sometimes unsettling truths, while also providing inspiration as we reflect on the past, take an introspective look at the present, and strive towards a more equitable future. We also look forward to hearing from our keynote speaker, Mrs. Grace Forte. Grace is a certified public accountant. She's going to talk about her vision to help the underserved community with financial tools and resources to help them achieve home ownership and other financial goals. We will be recognizing very deserving individuals with Give Rise to Possible awards for their service and dedication to CA and the York community. Lastly, we will recognize employees of CA for their years of service. So at this time, I asked Jackie Martino-Miller to come forward. She will lead us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then followed by Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, as President Bracy just said, we'll now have a moment of silence to honor those no longer with us. Will you bow your heads? Thank you. Will you please stand as we pledge allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll now sing one chorus of Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem. If you will turn forward, you can see it on the screen. We're going to begin. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. song full of the hope that darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that darkness has taught us. This is the rising sun of a new day. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you. Thank you for improvising. I appreciate that. And now I'd like to invite President Gracie back up to the podium.
Okay, before we get into the program, the Board of Directors has a little business that we have to conduct. And so board members, by now you have received and hopefully had an opportunity to review the February 8th, 2024 minutes of the board meeting. And at this time, I'm asking for a motion of acceptance of the board minutes. We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any question? All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. I would like at this time to invite our CFO, Donna Williams, and our board treasurer, George Gossett, to the podium for the audit report.
Thank you. Thank you. Again this year, I'm happy to report that RKL performed our audit, and it was a clean audit, no findings, no question caused. We are finishing up our Form 990, which is the annual tax return, and as soon as we have that, that will be placed on our website for your inspection. I'm now going to turn it over to our longtime friend and treasurer, George Gossett.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone here today, showing your interest and support for this great organization, Crispus Attucks. My name is George Gossett, like Donna said. I'm the treasurer and chair of the CA Finance Committee. Members of the Finance Committee are John Eister, Matt Ruth, Tony Campisi, Ernie Waters, Donna Williams, Jackie Martinez, and myself. The Finance Committee typically meets 7-8 times a year. A special thank you to these committee members for their time and valuable input. We are a team working together with management, trying to improve Crispus Attucks' financial position. That's our mission, and that's what we do. Within the annual report that you have in your tables today, I don't want to bore you with a lot of numbers. You can take a look at them when you get home, but there's financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2023 that are taken from Crispus Attucks' audited financial statements, as Donna said, by RKL. We got an unqualified opinion that our financials are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. You can't get a higher level of opinion from a CPA firm. I just have a few high-level comments about those financials. There's a statement of financial position in there, also known as a balance sheet as of June 30th, 2023. Simply a statement of assets, less liabilities, equal net assets. When you look at that, you'll see our cash number of $1.4 million. It's down about $1 million from last year, primarily for paying down debt. But at $1.4 million, that's a strong cash position for Crispus Attucks. There's a couple numbers on there that stand out. Again, I don't want to bore you, but it's called accounts receivable and restricted deposits. They were up about $6 million. It all relates to the History and Culture Center, collecting money on donations and getting pledges of future money that will come in. So that's kind of why those numbers jumped up. Liabilities were at $9.8 million, down $600,000. Again, we paid down debt from some of the big real estate buildings we have here, Greenway Tech, Red Claiborne. Our net assets, which some people will call equity, $18.5 million. That's a huge number for a nonprofit. It did grow last year by $5.4 million because of the History and Culture Center. But overall, if you look at that statement of financial position as of June 30th, 2023, CA is in a good financial position, strong financial position. The other statement in there quickly is called Statement of Activities, also known as an income statement for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. I'm happy to report revenues exceeded expenses before depreciation by $6.4 million. Again, an aberration because $5.4 million, it's $5.4 million higher than last year. It's all because of the History and Culture Center. When you take the History and Culture Center capital campaign money out of there, which is kind of an aberration, we don't do that every year, we still had a $500,000 excess of revenue over expense. So, successful year. These strong financial results were accomplished by a very dedicated CA management team. We made it happen despite a challenging operating environment. Supply chain, hiring challenges, it's just like all other businesses are facing. So kudos to the entire CA management team. Thank you for your attention. I will now turn the meeting back over to Donna for the History and Culture Center update. Thank you.
Thank you, George. It's really a lot of fun and exciting for me to be here today because I get to talk about something other than the numbers. So this is now starting the fun, exciting part of the program. Molded by history, changing our future is the theme of our new center. And today I want to share with you some of the highlights that have transpired over the last 2 years. And what a journey this has been. We had a lot of highs, a couple lows, and we still have more work to do. At our annual meeting on March 21st, 2021, Mr. Simpson stood before us and talked about history for a new African American History and Culture Center. He had been working on this for a while with Frank Dinpaper, and they presented some drawings for a new museum. Mr. Simpson said this new museum would be a place to celebrate the history of Crispus Attucks York and the African American community from the perspectives of those living in York County. It would be a space to house exhibits and open dialogue surrounding the past, present, and future racial issues. It would provide educational experiences to a wide audience in a unique and interactive way. It would explore ways to promote racial harmony by providing a place the community could share ideas, disagree, and walk away with a better understanding of each other's beliefs. This new museum was to be located within the Crispus Attucks campus to the right of the parking lot at 605 South Duke Street. In the words of Mr. Simpson, this has been a lifelong dream of mine. Those in attendance were very excited about this new project and the unique look of the building. Our architect, Frank Dinpaper, had won a regional design award for the building, and it hadn't even been constructed. The following week, Mr. Simpson started to assemble his team, and we got to work. He made a presentation to the CA board on April 8th, 2021, and he outlined a tentative timeline and answered many questions about what will be in the museum and how will CA pay for it. We presented our budget with a projected cost of $10 million. We applied for a RACP grant of $4 million, planned to write various other grants for $500,000, and conduct a capital campaign with a goal of $5.5 million. We were on a roll at that point. The first official step was to engage a consultant to conduct a feasibility study. We chose a firm in Lancaster that was highly recommended, and we worked on our case statement. Our case statement spelled out what our plans were, why the community needed this museum, how the museum would sustain itself, and contained quotes of support from many local supporters and dignitaries, including Governor Tom Wolf, Kevin Schreiber, and Tony Campese. We developed a timeline that called for a capital campaign to begin in February 2022, construction to start the summer of 2022, and the museum would open in July 2023. Obviously, a very aggressive timeline. We came up with a list of names of those we thought might be willing to participate in either an individual interview or a focus group for the study. So the study began. Around the middle of September 2021, we received a drafted report and we got a bit of a wake-up call. There were a lot of good comments about Crispus Attucks, Bobby Simpson, and the timing for such a project with some of the recent issues of civil unrest. However, there were some negative comments, such as whether we need a separate African American museum. Why not be a wing in the new History Center complex? Was the location the right place to build a museum? Can the museum sustain itself? And does our community really need another museum, or should CA change their model to be primarily a cultural center? The final conclusion was that we were not ready to embark on a capital campaign, and we had more work to do. We took a few days to absorb this, and then it was time to get back to work. We hired RKL to work with us on a business plan and held numerous sessions with our supporters, community partners, board members, and staff. We put together a revised budget and came up with a new name, the Crispus Attucks History and Culture Center. We had a new vision and mission statement adopted, and we decided to relocate the center to the Boundary Avenue, and we formed a stellar capital campaign cabinet. We felt the largest issue to deal with was why CA needed to build its own center and not be part of the History Center complex. While we were working through this, we were pleased to receive notification from our good friend, Kevin Schreiber, that Governor Wolf had awarded CA $4 million in RACP funding. So that was great news, and things were back on track. In March of 2022, we finalized our business plan for the Crispus Attucks History and Culture Center and submitted our application to the York Capital Campaign Advisory Group. Mr. Simpson, George Dotzel, Frank Dittenhafer, and I spent a lot of time preparing for our May 2nd meeting with that group. We wanted to show them that we had heard the negative comments, addressed them, and felt that we were now ready to move forward. We were confident when we went into that meeting that we knew our facts, we knew our numbers, and could answer any questions they had. We addressed the question of why CA needed a separate museum. Mr. Simpson shared that it is important that Crispus Attucks tell the story of Crispus Attucks and the African American community, the struggles and challenges we faced over the years, the issues of slavery, segregation, and civil unrest, and social injustice. We need to tell the stories because we were there, and it is our story. When Mr. Simpson told it, they got it. We provided an updated budget and detailed our revised plan to create a history and culture center as opposed to a museum. On May 20th, 2022, we received good news from the advisory group that they had no issues with our proposed campaign, and we settled on the timing for our capital campaign as June 1, 2022 through August 14, 2022 for the quiet phase, and then the first quarter of 2023 for the public phase with some additional cleanup time. The group, however, did make a few suggestions to us, and the main one was that Bobby Simpson should consider writing his memoirs. So hopefully that's in the works. So now we're ready to kick off the quiet phase of our campaign. We finalized our campaign materials, assembled our list of potential givers, made assignments, and started to make the ask. We had the first of many, many campaign meetings on May 23rd, 2022, and established a final fundraising goal of $6 million. Again, there was some concern about our ability to raise that much, but of course, we felt confident. By July 14th, 2022, we had raised $1.7 million. By December of that same year, we had raised $5.65 million. In addition, on October 26, 2022, again with the help of Kevin Schreiber, Governor Wolf awarded CA an additional $2 million in RACB funding, bringing our total RACB funding to $6 million.
All right, Tom Moore.
We kicked off our public phase of the campaign in January 2023, and the community continued to embrace this project. Our capital campaign cabinet continued to meet and discuss budgets, programming, and staffing for our new center. As you can see, since the annual meeting in 2021, a lot has happened. But I'd like to talk briefly about what has happened since our meeting last year. Those of you that were here might recall that our senior staff came together and asked for support to raise $50,000 to fund a room in honor of our beloved friend and colleague, Michael Jefferson. We were committed to raising these funds through the Give Local York appeal, fundraisers, individual giving, and whatever it took. We plan to kick it off in early May 2023 and hold events through the end of 2023 to reach this goal. As usual, we had some naysayers who said, that's a lot of money, I don't think you can do it. We said, we got this. Now, the next part is very important that you listen to these dates. May 1st, we kicked off our plan. We had coin jars sitting around and asked people to put in their excess coins. And then we started with Give Local York. It started May 4th. On May 12th, 2023, we had raised $50,498. The community support was tremendous, our staff was awesome, and really came out to honor Mike. It will be a proud day for us when we get to put that plaque in the new center in honor of our friend Mike. And I want to just take a minute to honor his wife, Shirley Jefferson, and his son, Robert Lambert, for coming today. Thank you. During this time, we continued to raise funds. We revised our budget for the construction of the building, and we hired Stewart and Tate as our construction managers. We interviewed design firms, and we were very fortunate to select a local firm, Klein Design, to work with us to help achieve Mr. Simpson's vision for this new center. We hired Jeff Packle to be the assistant director of the HCC. Jeff? And started working on programming and exhibits. Yes. We made some changes to the building. We would eliminate the lower level, locate the building so it is more visible from George Street, and relocate some storage areas, all which would result in a more efficient and cost-effective building. The building will be a 17,000 square foot, 3-story center. There will be adequate parking and security. There will be an event hall where we plan to host cultural programs, including lectures, films, and performances. We will have a reconciliation courtyard and a rooftop terrace for outdoor events. There will be a gift shop, a cafe, exhibits, and a community art exhibit. The second and third floors will have numerous dedicated exhibit spaces. We will be rotating exhibits and artifacts, utilizing digital technology, and are developing some innovative educational experiences. As all of this was going on, we were also looking toward groundbreaking and the start of construction. In late September 2023, we began planning the groundbreaking for November 15th, 2023. After many meetings, phone calls to arrange speakers, and sending out invitations, we were hoping for good weather and a nice ground. We were so fortunate that the weather was beautiful and we had a great turnout. We had several speakers at the groundbreaking who talked about the need for this new center and its impact on the community. As good as those speakers were, when our charter school student brought out those ELC kids with their t-shirts, hard hats, and shovels, they stole the show. And we want to thank Stuart and Tate for building a box so that the kids could put the shovels in the dirt. That was an excellent day, and everybody came away feeling so positive. The groundbreaking did highlight our theme of molded by history, changing our future, and having those kids there really showed what the purpose of this new center will be. The press coverage was excellent, and the community support continued to build for our History and Culture Center. The following week, the construction team mobilized on site to begin their preliminary work. The following few weeks we had some snow, which caused some minor delays, but the actual construction started on January 15th, 2024, which is Martin Luther King Day, and it has stayed on schedule since then. Every day we look at the new center being constructed, and it is amazing to see one man's vision being built. Our architect, Frank Dinhafer, designed the building to be constructed of steel and massed timber. The massed timber is very unique, and this will be only one of a few buildings in Pennsylvania that has this. The interior will showcase the timber, and it will arrive in one prefabricated package ready for quick installation. Stewart and Tate said the steel will start to arrive on April 22nd and the timber on May 13th, with completion of the timber frame by the end of May. By the end of May, our construction site is going to be vastly transformed, so you'll have to keep a watch for that. As we look toward the next year, we have a lot more to do. Shortly, we hope to finalize our bridge financing for the center and begin the next steps in the RACP process. We're actively looking for a director for the center, and our longtime friend, Mr. Jeff Kirkland, will be joining the staff as our historian and to assist with programming. And I would like to go back to something that I missed. In addition to our assistant director, Jeff Tackle, we also have his assistant, Lawrence, who has been valuable in helping us and always providing that extra set of hands that we always need. So thank you. We hope to hire a grant writer, a volunteer coordinator, and develop an extensive internship program and recruit volunteers to serve as tour guides and assist in other areas. We will continue to work with Klein Design on our exhibits and displays for the center. We will continue to develop some of the programming we have begun, such as our oral history project. We recently created an HCC journal and will continue to issue that, as well as post additional updates of our progress and plans on our website and other media outlets. If you have a chance after the meeting, you want to stop and talk with Jeff and Lawrence about the oral history project and also the new journal, because they're the ones that have worked on this. So thank you, fellas. meetings posted on our website, so please make sure that you follow that. And a big thanks to Duran up in the booth for helping us. We will continue to reach out to our community partners for their input and engage other organizations to participate with us as we develop an extensive arts and culture program at the new center to include music, art, poetry, film, and a speakers bureau. All of this will be going on inside, while outside the construction of the building continues. We hope to begin planning the grand opening early next year, with a projected opening sometime in mid-2025. This opening will be a community fair that will showcase the history of the Black community and highlight the plans for the future. Now, you may recall earlier, I said we had a goal to raise $6 million, and there was some concern as to whether or not we could actually do it. As of today, we are happy to report we have raised $7.338 million. And when you add that to the $6 million RACP award, that brings our total to over $13 million for this project. There are so many people that we have to thank for this success. Many in this room, our capital campaign cabinet, fabulous group to work with, our board of directors, our local foundation and businesses for their generous support, our staff, Murphy and Didenhafer, who has been with us since the beginning, Stewart and Tate, Klein Design, CGA Law Firm, Parker Security, and many others, and particularly our staff, who has come together, and even though we had our everyday work to do, we found time to devote to this new center. So thank you, everybody. We are very appreciative of your hard work and dedication, and the journey's not done. We talked about this new center being Mr. Simpson's vision, but it is evident that it is a lot more than that. Yes, this is Mr. Simpson's vision, but it is his vision for his community. His community that he was born and raised in. His community that he gave up an excellent job at Caterpillar to come to Crispus Attucks and make it what it is today. His community that he wants to share with the next generation and see them prosper and thrive. Because one man had a vision for his community, we will continue to be molded by history while changing our future by creation of the Crispus Attucks History and Culture Center. Our community is so much better off because one man had a vision. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. One of many reasons this history center is going up. Although we said no one can tell our story the way we tell our story. I didn't want anyone to sanitize what we went through in York and how we were raised in York. There were some bad times, but we're going to also remember there's some good times. We had some good people in York. We made a lot of good progress. I wanted to make sure that Dr. Holliday, I don't know if you remember Fred Holliday, Reverend David Moore, Mary Marion Chapman, Ray Ballard, Ray Crenshaw, Reverend Kitchener, and soon to be Dan Elby, and George will be in this history center so that they would never be forgotten. Before I start, let me introduce my wife of 58 years. She's like me, she's shy. Good afternoon again, and welcome to our 92nd annual meeting. Today I want to share with you a number of topics and issues, and they all relate to the history of this organization and the struggles that we went through to survive and how we almost lost this organization. But I'm also going to talk about the amazing recovery we had. And I also want to talk a bit about the way we as black folks spend our money with little or no return. My first question to you, do you remember Dr. Frederick Holliday? He was your first black superintendent of New York City schools.
Yes.
A Harvard graduate, brilliant man. He was also my first mentor when I first came to Crispus Attucks. We would meet every Wednesday in his office, right before the Rotary Club. And he would talk to me about different issues and topics. And I listened. And I became a very good student of this. Dr. Holliday was our keynote speaker in 1976. And his speech focused on the need for oppressed people to build a sense of community. He also talked about creating an economic base. And we should own and develop our own businesses and provide jobs and support each other's businesses. He talked about also the high crime in our neighborhood. He talked about the drug dealers, poor housing conditions in our neighborhood. And he also talked about girls having unwanted babies with no means and no way to take care of them. And he also talked about blacks not wanting to do business with other blacks. Sound familiar, huh? Yes. Now my question to you is this. 40 years after Dr. Holliday spoke, has our community gotten any better? What grade would you give us? On the issues that I just spoke on, what grade would you give us? My opinion, and it's only my opinion, we do not have a black community any longer. We have black neighborhoods. Was the black community that we used to have during our early struggles are long gone? Do you realize that your community is decreasing by 8% per year? Within the next 10 to 15 years, where will we be? Here at Crispus Attucks, we are well aware of these issues. And we have been working on what we think are solutions to some of these problems. We started by saying we need to stop being consumers and start being entrepreneurs and investors. But also, we have to get out of the blame game. And that somebody owes me something. Believe me, if you haven't got the banana, guess what? You ain't getting it. This teaching has to start early with our youth, beginning in elementary schools. We have to begin to teach them the value of home ownership versus buying a new car that will depreciate once you drive it off the lot. And that's the best way to create personal family wealth, by owning a home and maintaining it. Early on, I said I want to talk about why we are so overprotective of this organization. Let me give you some brief history and maybe you understand why. I became director in 1979. We had just went through 7 executive directors in 9 years. The United Way was our primary funding source. And they called Ray Crenshaw, who was the president of the board, Dan Elby, who was the vice president, and they called me. They called us to a meeting. And at that meeting they said, we will give you 6 months to turn Crispus Attucks around. If not, we will cut your funding and you will have to close. But you know what the sad part about it was? Listen to what I'm saying to you. The sad part about it was the black community said, close it down and let York City take it over. I'm telling the truth, help me. I said to them, you are so right. We're not doing a good job. And we need to do a better job. But never again will you or any other funding source ever have the ability to close this organization down. We went on a board retreat, staff put on, and we brought in a community organizer, an activist. He was a TV host. His name was Tony Brown. And he was on public broadcast for a long time, yeah. And I asked him, I said, why is it that we cannot get the black community to support Crispus Attucks? He said to me, what makes you think you are any different than any of us who try to bring our community together? He said, you will never get 100% of anything. So take the few that want to do something and go ahead on and do it. Here's what he said. He said, if you are on a boat and someone jumped off and you throw them a lifeline and they throw it back to you, what are they telling you? They don't want to be saved. So move on. And that's exactly what we did. We formed a community development corporation to clean up our neighborhoods. We created ways to diversify and create new funding. But first I came back and I fired 32 staff and we got rid of the whole board. I'm not trying to be smart, but sometimes people are like termites.
All right.
They destroy your house from within. We're very, very careful of the staff on CAY. We're very, very careful of board members that we bring into this organization. The 4-block radius around this building during the 80s was the worst section in the city. There were 232 abandoned or boarded homes. We had the highest crime rate in the city. Jobs, kids hanging on the corner, skipping school. We have grown from 1 building to a 4-block campus. We went from a budget of, in 1979, of $200,000 to a budget today of well over $10 million. Everyone goes past the Wellspan Claiborne, that's our building. The Roberta Claiborne building is our building, that's Crispus Attucks building. I was on the board of York Hospital at the time. And we went to York Hospital, LBI, and we presented a proposal. We said, you guys need to come off the hill. You need to come off this Taj Mahal. There are people in the city that can't even get a cab to come up here. After about a year of friendly negotiation, they said, if Crispus Attucks building will come. We built it. We named that building after the Roberta Claiborne. We did. We also own 180 houses. And I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you the facts. No one gave us a thing. We earned it. And we had the help of good people in Europe. Billie Holiday, the singer, she said, God bless the child who has his own. That's us. My question to you, our members and supporters, is how do we continue to build a stronger community? Believe me, it's not too late. There's still time for us to rethink our strategy on how to build individual and family wealth and create new businesses. Do you realize? Listen to this. Black people in the United States spend $1.6 trillion on goods and services. And then you tell me somebody owe us something? When we spend $1.6 trillion and give it away? And yet we lag behind other groups in creating individual and family wealth. The average black family net worth is only $44,960.60. That's it. We can do better, and we need to do better financially. In closing, I got this poem from a young man, young entrepreneur. He has a very, very successful business on Richmond Avenue. His son was killed a couple of years ago, and today they never found the person who killed him. But he didn't get angry. He didn't try to hold grudges. Stand up and do it. What he did was, this is important. This is what it says we have to be better role models. He created a school and an academy with his own money, teaching young men to be men first, get into trade, and learn automobile mechanics. I'm telling you, if you have the financial resources, help this young man. All my friends in here who have foundations, talk to this young man. He's not in it for the money, he doesn't need it. He's in it because he wants to help young people. Now, here's the poem that he gave me. It doesn't matter if 1 million people tell you you cannot do it, or if 10 billion people tell you no. If you get one yes from God, that's all you need. We here at Crispus Attucks got our yes many, many years ago. Thank you. Great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker from the name Ms. Grace. She always wanted to brag about I was her first client when she came to Europe 20-some years ago, and I was. And she's still my CPA as of today. But she came to me about 2 years ago. 4 years. Correct me there. 4 years ago. And she said, would you listen to a project? I want to talk about something that I had a dream. I said, what is it, Ms. Grace? She said, it's a community bank. I said, that's right down my line. I was thinking. She talked about the underserved, minority businesses that can't get loans, and the need for this. I invited her to 2 board meetings, and she spoke. And we said, Ms. Grace, you have to speak at our annual meeting to tell folks your dream or what it is you're thinking about. So I don't want to steal her thunder, so Ms. Grace.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simpson, for the introduction. And he's right. He is one of my very first clients. He fires me all the time. He rehires me as well. As he said, I'm a self-employed CPA here in the city of York. I'm also the executive director and co-founder with my husband Seth of Building Solid Foundations, a public charity also based here in New York City. Working with the York community and communities in rural Ghana, Building Solid Foundations is dedicated to supporting the basic building blocks of economic development. With that focus and commitment, I would like to speak with you about why a community digital bank. We love York. It has character. In the heart of our white rose city, where the rhythm of life beats fast and our dreams chase the horizon, there lies a silent struggle. Amidst the traffic of Route 30 and bright lights of our community, a significant portion of our population grapples with financial uncertainty, teetering on the edge of economic instability. But what if there was a beacon of hope, a digital oasis of financial empowerment tailored to their needs? This is the vision of the Community Digital Bank, where technology meets inclusivity, transforming the lives of low-income and vulnerable populations in our community. Traditional banking, with its brick-and-mortar structure and complex procedures, often presents unachievable barriers for the already marginalized by socioeconomic factors. For the low-income and vulnerable populations in York County, accessing financial services becomes a daunting task, riddled with obstacles ranging from geographical constraints to lack of documentation and financial literacy. So many in our community, every dollar counts, every transaction matters. Yet, the traditional banking system fails to accommodate their needs, leaving them at the mercy of predatory lending practices, exorbitant fees, and limited access to credit. The cycle of poverty perpetuates, suffocating aspirations and stifling progress. I don't see the reason why we should have over 22 payday loan centers and credit centers in New York, but that's what we have. This experience is not new. In fact, there have been decades of disparities in access to credit and broader Main Street financial services for low-income families and households dominated by people of color. And because of this, significant portions of our community have been at a greater economic disadvantage. These barriers and obstacles became more evident during the COVID-19, when only 2 of my small business clients qualified for PPP loans. The traditional bank's requirement at the time was that only existing business customers prior to the pandemic could apply. That requirement excluded many businesses who desperately needed the funds. There is a need in the community to establish financial institutions tailored to provide services that meet the needs of the underserved. Neighbors seeking home ownership, but obstacles and barriers are making this dream hard to realize. Too many small businesses, especially those owned and operated by people of color, are forced to take out business loans from organizations that have predatory practices. Many of us here today know someone who does not want to walk into a bank because they just don't want to be judged, or feel as though they don't know the right words, or face rejection. The community bank entered the idea of the community bank, a beacon of hope, illuminating the path towards financial inclusion and empowerment. Unlike its traditional counterparts, the digital bank transcends physical boundaries, offering a seamless banking experience, accessible anytime, anywhere. According to the United Way's Dallas statistics for York County, the labor landscape is challenging. A significant portion of both full and part-time workers are paid by the hour in our community. These workers are more likely to have fluctuations in their income and less likely to receive benefits. And working by the hour means that they may not have a long enough lunch break to go to a traditional bank. No longer bound by the constraints of physical branches, they can manage their finances with unprecedented convenience and efficiency, whether it's checking balances, transferring funds, paying bills. But it's more than just schedules that create obstacles. Too often, our family, our friends, and our neighbors may not be dressed in a way that would endear them to speak with a bank manager. Too often, they have a complicated financial history. Too often, they just may not look the right way. We can do better. Community Digital Bank for a wide range of users. York County is home to 3 colleges with thousands of students graduating each year and entering the workforce. And many have student loans and have less than good credit or have no established credit. They're looking for a banking relationship that welcomes them and helps them to learn what it means to be a successful member of our community. The Community Digital Bank can streamline the cumbersome processes associated with traditional banking, simplifying account opening procedures, eliminating the need for extensive documentation. This not only reduces barriers to entry, but also fosters financial literacy by demystifying complex financial concepts through user-friendly interfaces and educational resources. The benefits of digital banking extend beyond mere convenience by fostering financial literacy and empowering individuals to take control of their finances. Digital banks pave the way for long-term economic stability and prosperity. Community Digital Bank for the American Dream. There are many members in our community seeking to become homeowners, and there are several affordable housing advocacy groups in York. And we thank you for your commitment and hard work. Our Community Digital Bank will work in collaboration with these groups to facilitate mortgages for first-time home buyers. I will share a quote that I read that stuck with me. Unless you own your home outright, we all pay the mortgage every month. You're either paying it for your own, or you're helping your landlord pay down his mortgage. So, where would you want to be? Homeownership is a foundation for creating wealth. Many studies in healthcare also show that health outcomes can be directly traced to zip codes. An increased rate in homeownership typically transforms neighborhoods and a corresponding benefit of appreciating home values. The Community Digital Bank seeks to narrow the access gap and to be at the forefront of wealth creation initiative for the underserved community. And by the way, the underserved population is not just lower income Black and brown people. The underserved population includes small business owners with good credit but cannot get business lines of credit. I have been in my practice. They also, while a majority of these are black and brown folks, a good number are white men and women, high-earning African Americans and immigrants. York County and South Central Pennsylvania is now home to a sizable population of foreign-born physicians, nurses, engineers, college professors, and other high-income earners. We have a good number of ethnic stores and restaurants here in New York. These segments of our populations have unique needs that our community digital bank seeks to meet. A community digital bank for all, with features like automated savings tools and personalized insights, financial insights. Digital banks empower users to build a secure financial future, one small step at a time. Whether it's setting aside spare change or setting saving goals. Automating bookkeeping, sales and income tax reporting for small businesses would also encourage owners to report all their earnings and set them up for growth. With access to better financial records and tax management tools, digital bank can expand access to credit for these historically marginalized by traditional banking institutions. By leveraging alternative data sources and innovative risk assessment algorithms, we can offer tailored financial products that cater to the unique needs of our market segments without imposing exorbitant fees or predatory interest rates. From microloans for budding entrepreneurs to affordable lines of credit for unforeseen expenses, digital banks serve as catalysts for economic empowerment, fueling entrepreneurship and driving sustainable growth within our community. It is our hope that our very generous philanthropic community comes together to donate the seed capital needed to get us to charter. Charter means getting the green light from the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and the FDIC. I believe this would be a powerful story for our community to be featured in the History and Cultural Center. I believe this will also set New York up for innovative economic development that goes beyond traditional models that can be replicated in other communities. This is America. We can do this. We are committed to this project, and we need the help of our philanthropic community. This is a bold, out of the box, the conservative idea. It is bold because we also have skin in the game, which includes our monetary investments. It is conservative because banking is a highly, highly regulated industry, which ensures that we do the right thing. In closing, I would like to share two proverbs with you. The first one is an African proverb, of course, I'm from Ghana. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with others, which is why this will be a community digital bank. We cannot do this alone. We cannot. The second one is a Greek proverb. I first heard this when Miss Affiliative shared it with our team. A society grows when old men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit in. My plain English interpretation of this is plan a legacy that extends beyond multiple generations. Our community digital bank allows us to dream dreams and see the potential of achieving our dreams. By harnessing the power of technology and fostering a culture of inclusivity, we can pave the way for an equitable society where financial freedom knows no bounds. Thank you again for your time and for the opportunity.
Now it is time to present Give Rise to Possible Awards. So I'm asking Mr. Simpson, Mr. Jackie Martino, and Val to come to the podium.
Again, this part of the program is very important to all of us. I have the distinct honor of introducing and awarding award to a guy that I love. And his wife knows I love him. She said, that's okay, that make two of us. I said, it's okay. Donna and Bob Pulo. Do you remember when we first showed the abandoned houses and how bad this neighborhood looked? LB, Greg Crenshaw, and I, we went to 3 banks. All 3 of them turned us down. They said it was too ambitious, too risky. One bank told us we ought to stay in the recreation business. God's truth. I went to my friend Bob Pulo. At the time, Bob Pulo was the CEO and president of Live Federal Savings and Loan. Dan and I told him our story. He said, I understand what you said. He said, because I'm from Boston and I'm an Italian, so I know where you're coming from. And he said, I will lend you $750,000 to buy these old vacant homes. And back then, that was a lot of money. Because he said that he believed in what Crispus Attucks was trying to do. And we've been friends for what, 25 years now? We've been lovers for how long? Come on up. Come on. There would be no Crispus Attucks campus. 0. It would be what you see in the beginning, a slum with the worst housing. My man here lent us the money. He believed in us. Come on, man. That's why I love you. I do.
To read what is on this beautiful plaque. You have to wait. I know you can't wait to see it. When Bob Pulo was recruited to join York Federal Savings and Loan, Bobby Simpson joined their board of directors. And this began a decade-long friendship between the Pulos and the Simpsons. Bob and Donna are committed to making their community a better place to live through safe and affordable housing, educational opportunities, and culture and the arts. Over the years, Bob Pulo helped Crispus Attucks York secure significant funding to renovate and develop our campus, including numerous rental properties and the Loretta Claiborne building. Donna and Bob were instrumental in the capital campaign for both Crispus Attucks York's Early Learning Center and the New History and Culture Center. Their legacy of community service will ensure that future generations will have many opportunities to thrive and prosper. It is our honor to present to you, to Bob and Donna Pulo, the Give Rise to Possible Legacy Award.
Not really prepared to say a lot, but there's so much about you that should be said. And I really love Crispus Attucks. It was one of the very first things I got involved in here from key word is understand him, or else. But I got another award from Crispus Attucks that I cherished. It was the Aunt Lovey Award. Yeah. Remember that, Bobby? Yeah. And I just want to say that what I have seen with you, what I have observed, what you're doing, I give a lot of credit to Dan Elby, Ray Crenshaw, Bobby Simpson, people who have taken Crispus Attucks from near forfeiture to what it is today. And believe me, you have become today an anchor institution in this community for not only the people who are your members and other clients, but for the whole community. Bobby and others from Crispus Attucks are involved across the board in other businesses or organizations to create strategic planning and give their expertise to all of that. So I commend him. And I also want to say that over all these years, seeing and hearing the dreams of Bobby and his objectives, the encouragement of the gentleman that I mentioned, I drive today down South George Street and I say, thank God for Bobby Simpson and what he has done for the redevelopment of George Street, of parallel streets around George Street. The campus that you have is absolutely incredible from what we saw back in the 70s to what you see today. And Crispus Attucks team keeps going more forward, and more forward. They've always got yet another idea in holding up the ideal of keeping a community together and comfortable. So Donna and I appreciate this award. She's been an incredible supporter for York and for Bob Pillow. And in fact, one of her first things she did was with the Our Daily Bread and opening that for people who had difficulties and needed to have breakfast or whatever. And the night before they opened, she was actually still sewing the curtains for the opening the next day. So she's done so much, and I thank her for giving me the time to devote to Crispus Attucks and others in our community. As you, I give my thanks and my very being to the people I serve. And it's a community of leaders, a community of patrons, donors, and clients. So we have to thank our clients because we wouldn't be what we are, either Crispus Attucks or York Federal or Donna and Bob Polo, without all the clients that we serve. So I congratulate you, Donna, and I thank you for this. And I'll just tell you in closing that my mentor, self-designated father I never had, used to say, oh boy, when you get my age, you begin to forget what you're trying to say. I apologize for that. But he taught me to be community-minded, to be community-concerned, and to reach out to the community, and we continue to do that. But anyway, what he said was, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I forgive you for your temporary lapse in good judgment and giving me this award.
Did my husband
husband opened by saying he wasn't prepared to talk. He's never at a loss for words when he has an audience like this. And we're just honored and humbled to get this award. And all I can say is what my husband used to yell all the time, wherever we were, whatever ceremony or dinner, or he would yell, "I love you, Bobby." We love you, Bobby.
I love you, Bobby.
The next award is to Daniel. I'm hoping that Dan tells you about our first dinner that he was supposed to have taken me on to get me to leave Caterpillar. It was supposed to be a steak dinner with mashed potatoes. Went up on Green Street to a pizza place called Berto's. I got one slice of pizza and a Pepsi. One of them.
Bobby said he's going to let me tell the rest. You know, back when I came to York, I'm originally from Harrisburg. Ray Crenshaw and my mother worked together in the governor's office. So when I moved to York, people who know Ray would always scouting to get people involved in the York community. I don't know how long I would be in York because I'm from Harrisburg. But at that point, my wife had a job teaching, so I had to go where the money was coming from. So we moved to York, and I met Ray because my mother and Ray worked together. And Ray said, "Hey, there's an agency that I would like you to get involved with." I knew of Crispus Attucks Center because I was from Harrisburg, and when I was in college, I remember like yesterday when I was training for football after they had having the riots in York. And I said, wow, man, this is really a very challenging community, and I would pray that everything would work out. Never known how to be in York, being involved in trying to make things better. But Ray said, I like to have you get involved in the Crispus Attucks Center. I said, well, I'm new, and the best way to learn about the community is get involved with. So Ray approached me, and Bobby was already involved with the Crispus Attucks Center on the board. And if you know Ray Crenshaw, Ray ran everything in York that was worth being involved with. So he said, I want you to get involved in the Crispus Attucks Center. And Ray could get a little aggressive at times, so I went in York for a month, and he got me appointed to the board of Crispus Attucks, and he tried to get me to be the president. I said, man, I don't know anyone in this community. And of course, people didn't know me, so they voted me down as the president. And that was good. That was a blessing to me because I didn't really know that much about York or the Crispus Attucks. But during that point, as Bob had mentioned, there was like 6 directors in 6 years. And it did take a person who was really, really smart to figure out there were some problems at the Crispus Attucks Center. And with being new to York, and Ray knew Bobby, so we kind of formed a relationship. And we saw that things needed to be changed. I remember at one board meeting, the guy was just elected president, and the meeting get a little confrontational. And Ray told me, man, you can't stand the heat, get the hell out of the kitchen. I said, whoa, I want to get involved in something that had these type of issues. But we started the meeting and start really making fundamental changes. And it really dealt with a lot of staff people here, because half the problem, you try to bring people into York who was not from York, you put them in a major position who really didn't know the community. And then you had staff here who was very confrontational and ran a lot of people who could possibly do the job away. And Ray knew all this. I didn't know because I wasn't from York. So he, Bob, and I started me, and I had an agency for juvenile delinquents, and I had an office upstairs. The York side kind of saw what some of the issues were. And so as we started to meet, and I just started my agency, and Ray had a job with the governor's office, so he wasn't in a position to take on responsibility. So we talked, and we agreed that I should go out to Caterpillar and talk to Don Helfer, who was the CEO of the York branch of Caterpillar. And Don was on our board. Caterpillar always had someone in their organization on our board. I said, Don, we're at a really desperate situation in York, and as you're aware, we lose director after director, and Bob and I had taken Ray out for dinner. At that point, Bob was cheating, took out a piece of the Pepsi. As long as he got the Pepsi, he didn't really care about the pizza. Bob, it's always Pepsi. So we took him up top of the hill. We talked about we needed to make some changes, and we thought that he was the person that we could do it. So when we talked, we decided that I'd go out and talk to Don Helfer in terms of appointing Bobby on a year-to-year basis as the CEO of the Crispus Attucks Center. And Calvert gave him leave for a year. I was only supposed to be a year, but we thought that we could turn it around. And as that year went on, and we started talking, said, hey man, we got a man for the job. We don't need to do no more advertising. And you just have heard probably speak for a while. And he had that presence about him. He had the respect of people in the community. So Caterpillar agreed that they would give Bobby leave for a year. And that year turned out to be, 50 plus years. And the time that we spend now in terms of trying to get things together, Bobby had this place cleaned up less than 2 years. Then I said, man, why do you guys do this? Greg, why didn't you guys do this earlier? He was really involved. He lived right in the neighborhoods. He was right there, and he was always on the board. He was always in the center. I had a program in, so I would see him in there all the time. He's the person that the center needs to turn it around. I've been here 50 years in a voluntary capacity, and as I said, man, when you're having fun, time goes by fast. But those first 5, 10, 15 years, it was not fun. Because we had, in order to get the credibility of people in the community, not only the downtown community, but people who live here around Crispus Attucks, we had to clean it up. And I can recall Bobby called me one time. There were some, quote, knuckleheads coming in there. So Bobby and I went out one Saturday morning looking for the knuckleheads. And I just tell them, CA is no longer a place where you can come and do what you want to do. If you decide to continue that weird ways, I won't go into what we told them we would do. But they did not come back to Crispus Attucks. They did not come back to Crispus Attucks. So Now, as I look back over those 50 years, we had a lot of people who were instrumental in our changes. At that point, Jackie was a young person, just came up from South Carolina with one of our staffers. And she's been here ever since. We had what we call the men's club. And one of the things we would do, we had Judy's uncle, Ritter, who was an excellent cook. He would cook with about maybe 15 of us. He would cook, we would sell dinners and bring people into this set. People would not come in initially because, quote, what they thought CA was. But if you knew Ritter, you had to love it. We had about 15 of us, we were in the men's club. So we gave Bobby the support he needed to make changes. And after a while, I would say, hey, it's fun now to come to Christianity. We no longer had to deal with a new director every year or every other year because we found a person that was as committed to this agency because he grew up here in York. And Ray, we used to call Ray the Godfather because Ray knew how to get it done. Ray was very diplomatic. Bob and I were a little short-tempered thing, but Ray would kind of calm us down. So, we didn't want to necessarily do that, but we want to have change that would last. So, like I said, Ray was a guy, but he brought us together, and he passed several years ago. But his spirit will always be here at the Crispus Attucks. I mentioned some of the folks who were instrumental in our changes, and Bob definitely played a part of that. Lloyd Appel played a part of that. Daniel Cohen was a part of that. Bob Hollis was a big part of that. So we had good people that they didn't feel they had the leadership, so they weren't willing to go out on the rim to deal with things because we had different directors, and like every other year, they didn't want to take that chance until Bob and Ray and I came and said, hey man, this could be a safe environment. We could start making changes, and we made those changes. And I'd be remiss if I would not recognize my wife. She's from York. She taught city schools for 39 years in York. And I had an agency. And I had an agency where I dealt with juveniles for like 42 years. And she would always tell me, I have so-and-so in my class, he can be the agency at some point. Then when they come in, they'd be very shy then. I would tell her every time we get a new student, oh, he was in my class and he was a holy hellraiser. He came here as a whole different story. He couldn't intimidate, he sat and did what he was supposed to do. So York has really become my home. I love Harrisburg, but I no longer consider Harrisburg my home. We raised our kids here. Our kids are doing very well. Matter of fact, two of them could not come today because our grandkids play AAU basketball. They're over in Spooky Duck, so I said, no, you guys gotta be there with the kids while they're playing basketball. But my oldest son is here, Rashad, and his wife. Stand up, Rashad, in this. If you know any good football players that would think they're good enough to go to Penn State, I had them talk to Rashad. Rashad's on the football staff at Penn State, and his lovely wife is a CPA, so I'd like you to meet my lovely daughter. So It's been 50 good years. Harrisburg is my home. We raised our kids here. Our kids are doing very well. Matter of fact, two of them did not come today because our grandkids play AAU basketball. They're overlooking us. So I said, no, you guys gotta be there with the kids while they're playing basketball. But my oldest son is here, Rashad, and his wife. Stand up, Rashad, in this. You know, I like this. If you know any good football players that would think they're good enough to go to Penn State, I haven't talked to Rashad. Rashad's on the football staff at Penn State. His lovely wife is a CPA, so I'd like you to meet my lovely daughter. So no, it's been 50 good years. The first part was kind of challenging, but Ray had the game plan. Bobby and I had enough confidence in him that we stuck to it. And we come here just for relaxation, make sure we had the right people in the right positions, and I love to see that. It's a big part of my life.
Mr. Albee said my speech, so I don't have to say much more, other than that he has been involved in CA for over 50 years, and that the three amigos, Mr. Albee, Mr. Crenshaw, and Mr. Simpson, have tirelessly turned things around by working together. And Mr. Albee, who is his involvement with CAY, will have a long-lasting impact, and he has helped build an organization that will thrive and continue to serve future generations. It is a primary to realize and foster leadership, lifelong leadership.
Okay, I'm gonna leave, but I will leave. Thank you, Mother, for making me the man I am.
Hello, everyone. I am here to present your award to Diane Brown. Diane Brown is a York, PA native and has been employed by Columbia Gas for 37 years as a regulator compliance manager for Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia. She is the only female manager in Pennsylvania. She also serves as the company's diversity coordinator, equity, and inclusion leader. Diane is on the York City School Board and is passionate about education and the importance of student athletes. She also champions for Parent Advocate for Children, helps with the PAC Book Club, and the Education First Grade. Diane has 4 grandchildren, and they all attend our Crispus Attucks Early Learning Center. Through her advocacy, we have received financial support from Columbia Gas for the last 2 years. If you would please give an applause to Diane.
Well, good afternoon in the cat's out the bag. I usually move around in silence, not in recognition. I'm very humbled today to accept this award, so I want to thank you to the Crispus Attucks Board for the recognition, and I'm very flattered. I wear many hats, as you heard Ms. Val from the state. When I look at the programs and outreach that Crispus Attucks has done, I identify with the CA's core values of learn, work, and thrive. I'm involved in a lot of forums personally and professionally, but every opportunity I have to take advantage of the programs I do, every opportunity I have to support or share CA's work, I do. Everything I do to make New York a better place. I'll just share a few. Youth Build. 20 plus years ago, I assumed custody of my niece who had made some wrong decisions in her life. She ended up going to CA's Youth Build and graduating. CA's Employment and Training Program. Of course, the late, great Mike Jefferson, him and I became friends after I told him my vision of trying to recruit more minorities to apply for Columbia Gas. So I met him a few years ago, and he knew any time that I would call him, it was to let him know Columbia Gas was hiring. Professionally, I nominated CA to receive financial contributions from Columbia Gas under our parent company, NiSource. I know the CA has benefited from past contributions, and we will continue to contribute. With the youth program, I also was able to have Columbia Gas to donate bikes during Christmas a few years ago. But my greatest attachment is currently with the CA's Early Learning Center. I visited daycare centers with my daughters, and CA by far was the shining light. I couldn't wait for all of them to attend the Early Learning Center, and one by one, they are all members of the Early Learning Center. So, more to come, because I look forward to the opening of the Crispus Attucks History and Culture Center. And if you're in need of volunteers, please look me up. And as I look around the room, I just want to have my family and friends that came to support me today to stand up, please. And one of my mentors, Miss Margie Orr. I probably wouldn't know this video. So I just want to say thank you, CA, and God bless you all.
Mr. Randy Christie, to give rise to possible Youth Leadership Award. Randy has been an advocate and supporter of Crispus Attucks York for over 50 years. As a state police trooper, he led recruitment drives to encourage minority individuals to apply for employment. He also organized conferences for other Crispus Attucks organizations in cities all over the country to help share ideas and promote programs. As a scuba diver, when we had the pool downstairs, we would also take care of the maintenance of our community pool. Randy also started a drum and bugle corps for youth volunteering his time, obtaining, donating musical instruments, and finding instructors to teach the youth. Randy is both generous with his time and resources to support the agency and has helped fund summer enrichment, camp, scholarship programs, special events, and capital campaign projects. It is an honor and a pleasure to present Mr. Christie. Will you come forward, please? The Skill Prize to Possible Youth Leadership.
I'm so blessed. I've had a blessed life. I continue to have a blessed life. The good parts, the bad parts, and the ugly parts are all part of God's plan. Having said that, let me say this. Never be ashamed of accepting a helping hand. It can make very, very dramatic impact in your life. Living the example, I'm an example of that. Also, if you find it within your heart, please, please give a helping hand. Thank you, CA.
Stephanie Seacrest is a retired Methodist minister with a history of public service, a graduate of Red Lion High School, Barnard and Cornell University. Stephanie works as a teacher before raising her family in 1983. She became an ordained pastor, and she continued to work as an interim pastor while volunteering for other civic organizations in York County. Reverend Stephanie Seacrest worked for over a decade as a volunteer coordinator of the Festival of Trees held at the Goodrich Freedom Center. Stephanie uses her amazing leadership skills to organize a team that transformed the William C. Goodrich Freedom Center into a winter wonderland. Her love for William C. Goodrich and his family makes her an incredible ambassador for the Goodrich legacy. It is with great pleasure to bring Reverend Stephanie Seacrest to receive this award on behalf of Crispus Attucks York Board of Directors and all those that are involved.
Pretty good photo, isn't it? I've just adjusted my hair color. Oh, I've learned so much today. Thank you so much for this wonderful privilege to be with you all. And I'd like to start with the Ghanaian proverb saying, if you want to go fast, do it alone. And if you want to go far, do it with others. And so I would like for the people at the table over here who have been sometimes I call them my stevedores, you know, people that do the moving, and my fellow helpers, Beth Gross, Bart Graver, Susan Legal Guide, Phil Stan, and just, and we can have you so to save yourself, so you get the trees found. But let me just tell you just a tiny bit. A few days ago, maybe I was 8, maybe I was 10, maybe I was 12, I'm not sure. But one of my favorite Saturday activities was go to visit my dad, who worked on East Market Street. And his office would always kind of intrigue me. You went up a few stone steps and you opened this great big door, and there was a huge hall that was as big as some people's single rooms in their home. And then there was a huge stairway that went up to the second floor, and another curve, and then another stairway that went up to the third floor. I might add, you had to do that to get the bathrooms, which were very primitive, but they did the job. So at any rate, in this big hall, off to my right, there was this small doorway. That intrigued me, and I was told, either by my father, or by his staff, or by or by Fred Moore, who kept the whole building looking wonderful and running well, that if I went down those steps, there were the tunnels under York City, where many, many freedom seekers found their way to be taken by the Underground Railroad to places north or to freedom. Well, that kind of stuck in my mind. Of course, you know, you have this, go down the steps, and it's kind of the way it is, primitive. But somewhere there was a door, under that building that connected to some of those streets, tunnels that helped to be part of the Underground Railroad movement. Somehow that meant a lot to me, even as a kid. So when my one son in 7th grade had to do a research project, I said, oh, let's find out more about the Underground Railroad, because that was part of your grandfather's office building. So when Carol Kaufman called me in what I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, what I believe was 2016 or 17, to say I had this wonderful building on East Philadelphia Street. Here's the interesting part. My dad's office was 124 East Market Street. Goodrich Center is 123 East Philadelphia Street, separated only by a few parking lots and a few other buildings. So when she called and said, we'd like to do a Christmas tree festival, this sounded like it would be a fun thing to do. So what we tried to do is, first of all, get all of you interested in coming to see the Goodrich Center, which the first year was just the first floor. Carol Kaufman and her team of people were wonderful about transforming a building that, like a lot of George Street at one time, had just kind of sat there. And so here again, we saw a lot of change going on. And so we tried to live into the mission of the Goodrich Center, because it's not just a museum, it's a freedom, see if I get it right now, Underground Railroad and Freedom Center. So we tried to develop freedom, to make that an emphasis of what we did. We talked one year about images, because after all, Mr. Goodrich his kids were photographers. We talked about beauty, and then COVID came along, and we did a virtual year. And then June 19th was made a holiday, a national holiday, and so what we really need to focus on is achievements that have been part of African American life, not just in New York, but everywhere. So we did that. At that time, that was the 90th anniversary of Crispus Attucks, and so we kept that tree up. We just changed the number, so now we're headed toward 94 wonderful years of the functioning of Crispus Attucks. And then last year, the year before, last 2022, we did Wonderful York. And one of the things that I was especially proud of was the involvement of York Society of Friends, the Quakers, who were such leaders in helping freedom seekers find their way to safety. And then last year, when the daguerreotype exhibit came to York and so many wonderful things, then we tried to emphasize that. We talked about the camera and all the things that cameras could do. And I even did a creepy tree full of eyeballs, because after all, a camera is a mechanism much like our eyes. And I almost forgot, in addition to Kelly and Allison Renner, who helped to make this project happen, I almost forgot our dear friend who lets us in and out and puts up with all of our chicanery, and that is Mr. Johnson. So we're very grateful to him for all of his help. I heard a lot today that reminded me of William Goodrich, a lot of good inspirational stuff. And I just thought, well, yeah, Mr. Goodrich was a visionary. We've heard conversations and spoken of many important visionaries today. Mr. Simpson, Edgar Casey. Yeah, important. So what does it take to be an entrepreneur, to make a difference? Well, it seemed to me, you gotta be a visionary. You gotta be willing to take a chance. You gotta have heart. You gotta have a generous spirit. You've got to be willing to take a risk. You've got to be willing to use the resources that you have at your disposal. That's what Mr. Goodrich did. He lived in a house. He let people go down the steps and stay in his basement and wait till they were able to move on to the next step to freedom. To be a person who is interested in the future, you've got to be willing to be versatile, to think creatively, outside the box. I heard. Yeah. And all that takes courage and commitment. If a few people walking through a house looking at Christmas trees can get inspired to say, hey, here was an outstanding man who lived his life in an amazing way, and maybe we learn a little bit, get caught up on a little bit of history. One year we had the Yaya, let me see if I have it written down here. It was the Yaya Sisterhood, and a group of ladies who were specifically working on African American, helping us to remember some of these faces we've seen on the screen on York history. So thank you for this award. I'm humbled by it, I'm delighted by it, but what I'd like you to do, if you haven't invited your friends, family, and everybody that you know to come sometime to see Kelly and Allison and whoever else might be there at the William Goodrich Center, and to hear the talk and to just get a feel for York's remarkable place in history. I think that's one thing we can be proud of, that we were part of that Underground Railroad that said freedom matters, and we're going to take a chance for it. Thank you.
We'll be out of here. One more award. This is a special one. This young lady is a surprise, but she spent 45 years here at CA. Miss Jackie Martino.
So in October of 1979, Jackie Martino Miller began her career and found her second family at Crispus Attucks York. For the past 45 years, she was dedicated and she lent her talents to Crispus Attucks York, beginning as an educator in the Early Learning Center, being promoted into supervisor and directory positions, like Youth Against Drugs and the Rising Stars program. In 2008, she became the CEO of the Crispus Attucks York Charter School. Jacqueline has received many awards recognizing her leadership and her work with young people in the community, including names like YMCA for York Extraordinary Women, the York Rotary Club of York North, Paul Harris Award, and the BMA MLK Image Award. Jacqueline is married to the love of her life, Theodore D. Miller. She will always take pride in being a mother, a sister, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, an aunt, a sister friend, and a mentor. She is inspired by these two scriptures that keep her humble. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. To whom much is given, much will be required. Ms. Jacqueline Martino Miller.
Say thank you, and I have to also recognize my husband over there because he thinks I spent a whole lot of time at CA. My family and my sister friends and my grandkids are back there in the back too. I also want to say that, but I also want to thank Crispus Attucks York because they're my family, the staff, the board members, the community members who come in and volunteer anytime we ask. I'm that humble person. I like to be in the back. You don't see me out here a lot in the front. But I thank you. And you know what? There's this saying that says, give me my flowers while yet I live. Thank you. Okay, next, I can get myself up. Next, we're going to do Years of Service Awards. At CA, we are all one team. For 5 years, and I'll be calling you and just come on up. Mr. Simpson's going to be presenting, and we're going to do this pretty fast. Mr. Charles Brightpool from Housing and Community Development. For 5 years, Mr. Robert Johnson, Housing and Community Development. Ms. Susan Spinato from Early Learning Center for 5 years. And also at this time, the 15-year awards, Ms. Christine Feliciano. And the 25-year awards, Mr. Chip Dalton, who is named as also a new position as Co-Youth Education Director. 25 years. Also be going out the 30-year award, Mr. Millsite. Mr. Tony Morgan, 35 years not here, but he told me to say thank you to everybody. And of course, the legend for 45 years, and myself for 45 years.
We have one really, really quick surprise. We talked before about a great groundbreaking ceremony, and some of us have been working on a secret project for Mr. Simpson. So Lori's going to bring this up, and we have a little presentation for Mr. Simpson, the highlights of our groundbreaking. Thank you, Ryan.
Very quickly, thank you all for spending your afternoon with us. This will be very quick. Tournament statement. We just ask